We were
Oh no,
talking.
it's really
No,
it's
I'm giving you something to splice into right later. We were talking earlier about Kick the Can. Just for the record, can you give me a brief synopsis of the story of Kick the Can?
The story of Kick the Can is the story of a man who feels himself growing older, and he doesn't want to grow old because he remembers his childhood. And he remembers that he becomes obsessed with the idea that perhaps the fragile magic of children's games, through that he could become young again. If he could play like a child again, perhaps he would become a child again. And the more he thought about that, the more logical it seemed to him that age was a matter of attitude than it was a matter of years, and it was a matter of what you believed rather than what others believed. So he determined that he would do that. He would try and play himself a game of kick the can. But when he tried to talk others into it, especially his old and best friend, he found that everybody else, or many of these others, were locked into their thinking that your heart is old and it will break if you run with it, and your bones can't stand the pressure, and that you are frankly old, and that there's a certain grace and beauty and glory in admitting things like that and not becoming all sappy and soft-headed and Pollyannish with this idea that old people could become young again. And don't go sloppy on me is his attitude toward his old friend, who still believes that magic, there is magic in the world. And in believing in that magic, he does manage, with the help of some others, to become a child again. And when his friend sees him and is convinced finally at last that he has this magic, he says, "Please take me with you." But he can't take him with him. The young boy must run off into the dark. Now, what's interesting to me about that is that when I finished that play and it was made, I immediately started thinking of the results. Uh, for an example, if a bunch of people in an old folks' home did become small children again and did flee out into the daylight or into the nighttime, it's not their town. 80 years ago, they were children. 75 years ago, it's somebody else's town. The buildings are bigger. They're all locked for the night. The children are all called in for the night. The parents pull all the shades for the night. And here are all these children out there. At first, sure, fun to be young again, fun to run. But then, I gotta go potty. There are no bathrooms out here. I'm cold, I'm hungry, I want to go to sleep. There are no beds out here. After a while, those people who have been liberated would say, "My goodness, I think I would prefer the security of old age, a nice place to be, food to be eaten, someone to take care of you." And they see the lonely house up on the hill, they see the lights in the windows, they go up and look into the windows and they see all of those empty beds in there. And if they wanted to, they could just go in there, climb into those beds, sleep, and be safe. But one boy realizes, no, if you go in there and you lie down in the beds, because when he sees them lie down in the beds, he sees them become old people again. And so there he is, left all alone, the final boy, the one that started it all out. He's a boy, he's seen them all become old people again, and there is his empty bed. So he goes inside, he kneels beside the bed, he says, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep." And then he gets into the bed, and he pulls the covers up, and Mr. Cox, the attendant, comes running in and says, "My goodness, they're here. They're all here. Look, everybody is here." And they go over to his bed. They look in his bed, and there he is, an old man. See? Because we all want to become children again when we're old. But when we're young children, the thing we want most is to be grown up. The most we want is to be aged. I myself have aimed my life at these years that I'm in now, because I'm more interested in the end game than in anything. And now I'm entering into the end game part of my life, like the third act. I'm very conscious of that. I'm doing my very best to shape it so that my life will have some kind of meaning, and the beginning of it will end up in the end of it, and that the dead hand of the past is capable of illuminating the future, so to speak, in my own life. But no, Kick the Can is really a story about all of our wishes that we were magic. I know the idea that I could touch my elbows together behind my back and I could become a girl. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And then touch my elbows again and I could become a boy. Or what if you could be the old man who takes care of me as the little boy, and then we could put our fingers together the right way And then I could become the old man who takes care of you. Your age would drain out of you into me. My age would drain out of me into you. These ideas are flexible. The way the human spirit relates to itself. See, because what fairy tales are is archetypal accounts of how the human personality meets and overcomes its own dangers. That's what Ray Bradbury writes about. That's what Twilight Zone was all about. That's what Rod Serling was about in the Twilight Zone. It was that the human personality has its own dangers. There is a danger in the ability to be able to become a girl by touching your elbows behind your back. You know, count to 10, or step on a crack and break your mother's back. Goddamn bitch. See what I mean? There's magic at work here, and that's what the Twilight Zone was about. And the Twilight Zone, of course, lends itself readily to the idea of the fact that old people and young people are very much the same.
Okay, now I'm getting the message here that there are two types of people: people who want security to be taken care of, and there are the other type that are adventurers that shirk off that security, that comfort zone, so they can experience a multitude of adventures and excitement.
That's absolutely right. Insight.
Yeah.
That's a short
Today,
story.
early part of today, I attended an Edgar Rice Burroughs talk, or was it yesterday? I don't know. This flowing together, and I wanted to ask a question: what was the appeal of Tarzan? It was written, what, 1902?